This is Eye on the Community, and I'm your host, Sean Anthony. Joining me next is the administrator for Columbus and Franklin County Addiction Plan, Miss Andrea Boxill. Welcome to Eye on the Community. How are you today?
I'm well, Sean. Thank you so much. And thank you for saying my name correctly. I appreciate that.
Well, I had to get the instructions before we went live. So listen, we're here to talk about International Overdose Awareness Day. So let's start with that. What exactly is it, and what are you trying to accomplish by holding such a large event?
Well, International Overdose Awareness Day is the world. So obviously it's international. So not just here in the United States, not just here in Ohio, but Portugal, Africa, different countries in Africa. It's an opportunity for us to reduce the stigma. It's the world's largest campaign to talk about ending overdose, ending the stigma, and remembering those that we love, that we've lost, unfortunately, to a drug overdose death. Our goal is really to, especially in Franklin County, as a state, Franklin County has been hit the hardest across the state in overdose deaths. Originally, Dayton, Montgomery County had experienced the largest rate of overdose, I'd say probably from 2011 to 2015, 2016. They implemented a plan of action to decrease the number of overdose deaths, and they did so. I came on board at Columbus Public Health, which is where I'm the administrator of addiction services, and also had to lead the Columbus and Franklin County Addiction Plan. And we had to develop a comprehensive plan for how are we going to decrease overdose deaths? How are we going to decrease infectious disease, which is a result often of substance use disorder? So this is just one component of a bigger plan, which is to acknowledge we have lost lives, we continue to lose lives, but these lives shouldn't be lost in vain, and we shouldn't only focus on the tragedy of how they died, but also how they lived. So this is our opportunity. I've got this poster here. I always throw it up. There it is. There it is. It's real good, but it's probably poorly done on live stream. On August 31st, around the world, but here in Franklin County, August 31st, we are going to be at St. Stephen's Community Center holding our event, which is 1500 East 17th Avenue from noon to 7. Major activities are going to kick off, including speakers. We have people from City Council. We have, that would be a City Council member, Nick Bankston. We have the Franklin County Coroner, because unfortunately there's some truth that needs to be shared. Obviously, Columbus Public Health Commissioner, Dr. Mashika Roberts, as I said, Dr. Nathan Overmeyer, but we also are going to have some family members who are going to talk about their experience. And yes, that may seem like it's overwhelming and loaded with tragedy, but we also are going to do some activities. We're going to have a DJ. We're going to have some music. We're going to have some memorial walls. We're giving away free clothing. We're giving away free meals for the first 150 that get there. But also, we're going to do an activity that shows what do we need to do to decrease overdose deaths, and what is it that our community needs in order to do so.
Now, you mentioned that a lot of the drug overdoses happen in Central Ohio. What drugs specifically cause the most overdoses in Central Ohio?
Wow, Sean. And it's very specific. I think that the myth, in particular in our community, and when I say our community, the African-American community, the Black community, and people of color is, oh, well, that's just heroin. That's just heroin. That's just, people still use that. We don't use that anymore. We've been through this pandemic. The myth is that it's all white folk who are dying, all poor folk. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, in 2016, 20% of overdose deaths in Franklin County were African Americans. That's 2015, just under 10 years ago. Since then, we now represent almost 32% of all deaths. Our population in Franklin County, Columbus, Ohio, is only 23%, but we're representing close to a third of all overdose deaths. And the reason? Heroin is actually very small on the streets of Columbus. The DEA would tell you that. We still have crack. We still have cocaine. We have methamphetamine. We have people who are buying pills off the street like Percocet and Oxycontin, only to find out it wasn't a Perc 30. It wasn't Oxycontin. It was straight fentanyl, because the dope dealer is now pressing pills that look exactly like the medication you need or want, but it's pure fentanyl. So fentanyl is the cause of this increase in overdose deaths. I mean, we've had individuals who report to us, I promise you, they'll raise their hand, they're sitting in the ED, and they are telling the doctor, I have never in my life banged dope. I do not use heroin. I do not use fentanyl. And then they'll show them the drug screen and say, well, you thought you were using crack. You didn't get crack. You got crack compounded with fentanyl. And anytime you compound drug use, right? Some people think, well, you can only overdose if you just take too much heroin or you take fentanyl. No, anytime you mix alcohol with anything, you can mix your alcohol with the medication that's prescribed to you. You're taking a chance on overdose. But what if you're taking a medication that is taking a drug, fentanyl, that's 10,000 times more potent, and you've never had an opioid in your life? You just threw yourself into depressed breathing, lowered your heart rate, and unfortunately, and I hate to be macabre, but it's the reality, you're going to hear what's called the death rattle. The death rattle is the sound that people hear when someone is suffocating as they're dying from a drug overdose specific to opioids.
Wow.
So fentanyl is the dirty drug, man.
So, and obviously it does not discriminate. It's crossing all sex, genders, race, etc. So how can people prevent these overdoses?
It almost sounds like I'm being a smart aleck. Watch my language there. Don't use drugs.
Right.
I mean, that's the most simple form, but I'm a realist. I realize that people use drugs and alcohol for a lot of different reasons. People gonna get paid this Friday. They're gonna want to go out and hang with their friends, have a nice dinner. When you do drink, you tend to decrease your judgment. Your judgment gets impaired, right? You're slower to think. You're more risk-taking behavior. So some people are using because they're going out to celebrate. Sometimes it's a family reunion. Let's celebrate. Let's do. I know of students, college students, who will try to score Adderall or stimulants on the street. And remember what I said, that pill, they may tell you it's a stimulant, it's Adderall, but it could be fentanyl. And they're using it to try and study, to stay up longer. But then there's also people who use drugs and alcohol because it is what it is. I'm depressed. I'm overwhelmed. I have a sense of hopelessness, even if it's temporary. So I want to go out and use just to forget. Well, my thing is this, again, I'm never going to shame a person who uses drugs and alcohol. I'll never have people believe the myth that only people who use drugs and alcohol, those are the ones who are overdosing. They don't have jobs. Don't get it twisted. There are people who use drugs and alcohol, go to work every day. They pay their bills, they take care of their kids. So the risk is what we try and mitigate. So we'll say, if you're going to use, test your drug with a fentanyl test strip. We provide those at Columbus Public Health through the addiction plan. These are test strips like 7th grade math or 7th grade science class where there's a litmus test. You get your drug a little bit wet, hold that test on there. It'll tell you if it's dirty with fentanyl or not. And then you can make an informed decision. Now get this. And I know, Sean, you're like, wait, but you get to make an informed decision. So we make informed decisions every day. We know that eating greasy meals, right, can cause our arteries to get clogged. And we take a chance, if we have high blood pressure, that can increase our likelihood of overdose. I'm diabetic. I take a chance every day. If I want a Snickers bar to get me through, or a candy bar or something, I'm taking a chance, but I'm informed about what the risk is. So a person can test their drug with this test strip and be informed about what they're about to do. If they say, well, you know what, I'm still going to use, then I need you to do two things. One, I need to make sure that you have naloxone and that everybody knows where your naloxone is, and that you tell your crew, listen, this is my naloxone. Since we're all going to get it in, I'm going to use, if I overdose, call 911, take the naloxone out, put it in my nose, plunge it, lay me on my side. Do not leave the scene. In Ohio, and this is so important for your listeners to know, for our community to know, there's such a thing as the Good Samaritan law. If you're on the spot and somebody overdoses and you call 911, you will not be prosecuted if drugs are not on your body and they don't think you're the trafficker. I'm giving the whole scope. So look, the person overdoses, you dispense, or you call 911, you dispense the naloxone in their nose, you lay them on their side, and you wait for law enforcement to get there. Part of the reason we have to celebrate International Overdose Awareness Day, and I caution using the word celebrate, memorialize, is because people left the scene. They left the scene instead of calling 911.
Without helping them.
Not helping. In this scenario, it's not just I am my brother's keeper. I could be my brother, because remember, I'm going out this Friday night. So you never know if it's going to be you or not. And I would want, for myself, for my children, for my brothers, my sisters, I would want someone to call 911 to dispense naloxone and to be present and to be the first to say, listen, we weren't using heroin. We weren't using fentanyl. As much information as you can give to the emergency responder, to law enforcement, the better the treatment will be when they get him in that truck and they get him to the ED, to the emergency department.
I have a rhetorical question for these drug dealers out there. Why are they lacing drugs with fentanyl? Is it cheaper? Is it a greed thing? Like what's the deal with why would you tamper with something that could be lethal?
So I have so many responses to this, right? But in all of them, there is no either or. I think that we as a society, as a culture, always look to have the easy answer. There is no easy answer. The answers that I can give you are this. When I drink soda, I prefer diet soda, diet pop, straight on. Do not give me cherry cola. I do not like it. But I do like vanilla. I do like the vanilla occasionally. So what I've done for the soda pop industry is allowed them to diversify their product to get more consumers to buy into their product versus another product. So as a drug dealer, our approach to this has always been criminal, which to some degree it is. You are breaking the law. You are killing people. So keep this in mind too, Sean. There are states and counties that when they find the drug dealer who dealt the drug, even if the drug dealer says, well, I didn't know it had fentanyl, it doesn't matter. The person died. You'll be charged with murder. So diversifying the product is the standard in any business to get more customers. The drug dealer is not in this business because he's providing you a social service and concerned about your health and well-being. They're trying to get money. And so the difference between now and, let's say, I don't know if you remember this, Sean, 30 years ago, we had gangs in Columbia. We still have gangs, and we still have gangs who deal. But we had gangs that were fighting each other to control a block to deal drugs. And so if you're in my territory, taking my customer, because it's business, I might take you out. But here's the thing. You haven't heard a lot about that. Right. You know why? Because there are too many people who are miserable, who will take whatever I give them. And believe it or not, there's enough customers in this for everybody. As with any other industry, I've been following the shoe industry. I'm fascinated that there are shoes that cost, and I'm old, over $140 baffles me. And that people will pay $3,000 for a pair of shoes, right? So I, as a dealer, I've just become a major shoe company. And I'm going to make sure that you wear my shoes. that you use my drugs, you use my product, and you go out and you tell everybody. And I don't have to fight with anybody else over you coming to me because you know I got the best product on the market. It's business.
Right.
And yes, there are criminal elements to it, but for the individual who's doing this, and you know, I don't get it twisted. To them, the risk is worth the reward.
Yeah.
You know, and if a few people die along the way.
So as we wrap up, what message would you share with kids about drugs now? In the past, of course, we would say, you know, just say no. This is your brain on drugs. What's the message that you want to share right now?
I would tell any young person, and I do a lot of speaking in the high schools, there is no safe drug. I don't care what your dealer tells you. I don't care if your old boy, your friend, your bae, your BFF says, well, no, we got this from a dispensary. Unless I was there with you and saw the receipts in exchange, I don't believe anything is safe. And let me tell you, we did a overdose review. We do this is how serious it is. We do drug overdose review investigations. We review cases, right? Every month. When you're reviewing the case of a 17-year-old girl, it's a reality that hurts. So to tell young people, you know what? The drug dealer is not in this because they love you. They're not in this because they want to give you the best experience possible,
right.
So that you have a great life. They want to give you the best experience possible so you bring them more business. You are nothing to them but business. And that there is no safe drug. There is no safe drug, period.
So where should people turn to if they want help or if they have a loved one that may need it? What resources can you provide?
So thank you so much for that, because, you know, I love the opportunity to get people connected, right? And one thing that we've done over the years is every month or in the summer, every other week, we have what's called Walk-In for Recovery. Our next Walk-In for Recovery is going to be held at the Peer Center West, which is a peer center, peer-run location at 866 West Broad Street. We're doing that this Wednesday, this Thursday, from August 23rd and 24th from 11 to 6. When you walk in, it isn't just, hey, I need treatment. Some people just need a meal. We provide that. Some people need help getting a birth certificate if they were born in the state of Ohio. We help with that. But also we do assessments. We get people immediately linked to treatment. But if you're really wondering, where do I go to get my support, my help? Here at Columbus Public Health, you can reach out to us at 614, I'm giving the phone number, 614-645-6839. We not only can help the individual seeking treatment, but we can also help the family or friend who's trying to navigate, how do I confront this? How do I deal with it? For some individuals, they may...
What's that number one more time?
Yeah, sure. 614-645-6839. We also have the Franklin County Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health Board, which knows of every treatment agency in Franklin County for different levels, including for young people. I'm going to give you their number as well. 614-224-1057. And then the last thing I'll tell you is, again, we are going to be at St. Stephen's Community House, August 31st. I want to see our community out there. I can look at the data. I just told you that 30% of the 756 deaths were African-American, Black, people of color. Don't let their death be in vain. Come out on August 31st. Come give them the memorial, the homegoing that they deserve, and to support their friends and family, many of whom you know. And then we also have a Facebook page. I like this social media. I usually call it the Facebook and the Instagram. The Columbus and Franklin County Addiction Plan. Go on to Facebook, look up Columbus and Franklin County Addiction Plan, hit like, hit follow. We give information every day, every week about what's happening, including if there's a deadly batch of
Seems like we lost connection there with Miss Boxill. You still there? Looks like we lost connection. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, August 31st, St. Stephen Center. It is the International Overdose Awareness Day. Make sure you guys tap in and participate in that event. I want to thank our guests, Miss Andrea Boxill, the admin for Columbus and Franklin County Addiction Plan. We appreciate you sharing this information on Eye on the Community. Thank you.